Hello all you steel-encased cosmonauts, as always I am Cosmic, and today we're going to be reviewing Livelock, a cooperative top-down shooter developed by Tuque Games and published by Perfect World Entertainment. Livelock takes place in a sci-fi futuristic universe whereby Earth has experienced a cataclysmic event, and to survive the human race uploaded themselves into AIs. However, during the cataclysmic event things went wrong and data was corrupted, and an infinite war of machines broke out upon the Earth's surface. Years later, you awaken as one of the last remaining capital intellects. Your single goal is to unlock Project Eden and revive humanity. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the game itself. It is a cooperative top-down shooter whereby you can play solo or with up to 2 other people. The goal of the game obviously is to complete the story campaign, and there is also a skirmish mode where you can take on essentially like a horde mode where you can take on waves and enemies and see how long you can survive. The gameplay mechanics themselves work very similar to other twin-stick shooters. It plays very similar to last year's Helldivers, so if you played Helldivers on the PC or on PS4, you will be right at home with Livelock. Now, before heading out on a mission, you have to select your capital intellect. There are 3 classes to choose from, including the Vanguard or the Catalyst, who is essentially the healer, or the range DPS class, and ultimately each class feels very different. They have very specific roles, they all have their own unique abilities and equipment, and you can customize the appearance of each one. As you level up throughout the game, you'll gain access to new weaponry, new abilities, also new different modifications to existing abilities, as well as customization options for your appearance. I have to say I liked the amount of customization available to each class. The different weaponry feels very different from the last, so even with the Vanguard character, the main weapon is obviously going to be a melee damage weapon, and I have to say that each melee weapon felt very different. It allowed for very different playstyles, very different tactics. Each weapon is upgradable by spending the in-game currency that you earn through the campaign, and I have to say that the appearance customization options as well do really work well. It allowed for a lot of customization, and it helps to make each class feel like your own capital intellect rather than everybody playing the same character. Once you're all outfitted up as you so wish, you can head into the campaign or skirmish modes. Now, I have to say that the campaign mode itself works really well. There's a lot of positives to it. First, of course, is the fact that it is a story-driven campaign. So each level has a story-driven objective and has relevance. It isn't like Helldivers, where each mission was just randomized and it had, very similar repetitive objectives. In Livelock, you have a specific story-driven objective. The game is fully voiced. The voice actors do a decent job with the mechanical voices, etc., with the help of obviously special effects. I have to say that some of the writing is a little bit subpar. It's not great at times, but for the most part it works very well to create this futuristic dystopian universe. Ultimately, however, the fun comes in the form of shooting and killing lots and lots of bad guys, as with any twin-stick shooter. Now, Livelock does a really good job with enemy variety. As you progress through the campaign, you'll unlock new enemies to face and different variants. I have to say that in particular the most fun and challenging of them is of course the upgraded mechs that you will face. Each one usually has a specific advantage and disadvantage. So, if you're playing the Vanguard character, for example, you might come across an upgraded who is resistant to melee damage, so you have to really switch up your tactics and try something new. In terms of mechanics alone, at its core, Livelock is a solid twin-stick shooter that is a lot of fun, and I think that it can be very much enjoyed single player. I've enjoyed it single player, but ultimately the joy comes from any shooter or any game really is the cooperative multiplayer, and I think that the cooperative multiplayer is where the longevity lies. I think, however, the problem with the cooperative multiplayer is that it can be a little bit touchy from time to time. The problem is it's a peer-to-peer system, and ultimately that has many inherent problems with, you know, connectivity and in and out, dropping out, and problems all across the board. Sometimes you can get a really good session on the go, and if everyone has a strong internet connection, then it isn't a problem. But I have experienced problems with the multiplayer. Hopefully they can find a way to iron those issues out. Another major concern that I do have with Livelock is longevity. Now, with Helldivers, you had longevity and replayability in the form of the Galactic campaign, where the factions were facing off, they were competing for something, and then it would reset and you'd do it all over again. Livelock doesn't have this. Livelock has a story-driven campaign that ultimately has a start, middle, and end. So you don't want to be playing that over and over and over, because it gets really boring. And yes, there are leaderboards and high scores, but that only gives you motivation to a certain extent. I think ultimately, if Perfect World and Talk Games want this to last for a good while, then they are going to need to continue to create content for the game and offer it, ultimately, in my opinion, for free. I think you're going to struggle to sell DLC for this to get people really engaged. I think this is going to need free content updates and maybe a different kind of mode to add on later on. That all being said, I have to say that I really enjoyed my time with Livelock. I think that if you enjoy top-down twin-stick shooters, you enjoy cooperative multiplayer games, then ultimately this will be for you. It is got a certain amount of polish on it that really nice. The aesthetic is pleasing, the sound is good, the art style is great, and ultimately I think that it's just a very fun game. It is very much in the similar vein to Helldivers, in the sense that it's only going to last and keep your attention for a certain amount of time, but it's worth it. You know, I felt that after the campaign, I've played it through the campaign, you know, I enjoyed my time with it. I felt satisfied. I never felt like, you know, I was conned out of something or that I was missing something. I felt that I played through the campaign, had a couple of cooperative matches as well as played solo, and I enjoyed my time. I was satisfied. I left feeling satisfied. I thought, yeah, that was a pretty good game. So it's ultimately, in my opinion, I recommend picking it up if you enjoy top-down shooters and you've got a couple of friends to play with. It's well worth playing. And that is my review of Livelocks. Thank you so much for watching and listening. As always, do like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Share the video around, and as always, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.